Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, Sam.
Are you ready for today?
I'm so ready to rumble.
Okay, perfect. Today should be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. I freaking love these episodes, even though sometimes they get me in hot water.
We wanted to do a fun one today, so we're going to be going back to Reddit, to the best subreddit that exists.
I love this subreddit. Like, when I read it, sometimes I will say it's the Am I the Asshole subreddit. Sometimes it's like, okay, obviously you're the asshole. Or like, obviously you're not the asshole. But the ones that are just like the diamond in the sea of like pebbles, you're like, oh, this is going to stir some shit.
Yeah. What is STB?
Oh, are we not?
STB ex-husband?
Are we not like up with the internet lingo anymore?
I don't think I am.
Soon to be, maybe.
Oh,
soon to be ex-husband.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, when we decided we were going to do this episode, I was looking last night on Am I the Asshole, and we found this thread that's like the best of 2020. Am I the Asshole? So I haven't read them. Sam hasn't read them. So we're going to be going in blind, and we're just going to chat about it and decide.
See how it goes.
Decide if someone's the asshole.
And what we would do, I think, as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this one is, am I the asshole for telling my soon-to-be ex-husband he will not be allowed in the birthing room? I'm 30 weeks pregnant with mine and my soon-to-be ex-husband's daughter. She will be my first child, and it turns out she won't be his first child. He's been carrying on an affair already. Fuck this guy. Oof. Already no. Fuck this guy. He's been carrying on an affair that started several years ago during my residency in internal medicine and cardiology. His excuse was I was working long hours and not emotionally available, so I drove him to it. I found out about the affair because the woman with their child came to our home 2 months ago demanding I release him from our financially abusive and loveless marriage. I guess you could say I ambushed him because I called him and told him he needed to come home. When he did and he saw her, I knew based upon his reaction he had been cheating. So I kicked him and all of his stuff out of the house. In my book, I granted his wish. He had asked for another shot that we go to marriage counseling, but he has had years to come clean and didn't. So I am unwilling to attempt a reconciliation. He's been calling her, blah, blah, blah. And then basically she said that she doesn't want him in the room when she goes into labor, and that she won't be allowing it, and she wants people that she trusts there. He's been guilt tripping her, saying that he has a right to see his child be born, and his family and he thinks that she's the asshole for already alienating him from his child. Anyways, what's your take on this?
Oh, I'm interested actually to know your take. I'll say mine, but I'm interested to know yours because you're pregnant. And are you 30 weeks pregnant now?
No, like Jesus
no,
Christ.
Sorry.
Goodness,
not trying to age you.
23 weeks. Man.
Okay, but like pretty close, right? Like a month and a half away.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you can embody her rage.
Oh, I can embody her rage. Absolutely. Yeah.
Being pregnant, maybe like putting yourself in that scenario. Okay, so it's so hard because yeah, obviously fuck that guy. Like, excuse you, like how I don't even know from the family's perspective how you could say that anyone other than him is the asshole.
Yeah.
Because, you've been having an extramarital affair while your wife is pregnant with your child.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like if that was my son, I'd be like, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? However,
I knew there would be a however. Oh my God, I knew that you would be that one.
Okay, I'm not saying that she's like the asshole.
You're gonna Khloe Kardashian this shit?
Yes. Okay, so this
fuck that a noise. Okay, go on.
So I think obviously a mother has the right to have whoever or no one in the delivery room. Mm-hmm. That's like an extremely personal experience. You're going through like a serious experience, one that I haven't been through. So obviously I'm just speaking from like what I know now. I do still feel like that's his child. And I think that if it were me, I don't think that I would allow him in the delivery room while I was giving birth. Maybe, but I would allow him to be there at the hospital to see his child directly after they were born. Because I just personally, like, I still feel like I would want the child, because the child's like innocent in this scenario, right?
Yeah.
And I would want that child to, I mean, I need to know more information. Like, is he a piece of shit otherwise too? Like, is he you know what I mean? Like,
I think that's fair to say.
yeah, but you never know. Like, sometimes, I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, if, you know, he's still like legally bound to this child at this time, and it's still going to be his responsibility. And if he's not like a piece of shit otherwise, and I still want her, because she said daughter, to be in his life, you know, I want her to look back on pictures maybe of like him holding her as a newborn, like freshly born, and like,
You're all about the sentiment.
I know. And like, I don't know, like if there was a umbilical cutting or like, you know, skin to skin contact, like right after, it's like they're bonding. I don't know. So that's kind of why I'm leaning more towards like Khloe Kardashianing that shit. Like, just put it aside, go through the birth. You can figure out the bullshit later. I know that that's probably an unpopular opinion. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I think, well,
it's everyone's personal thing. So then would your conclusion be everybody sucks here?
I don't think that she sucks. Mm-hmm. I don't think she's the asshole.
You would just choose differently.
I would just, I think that even if you're a piece of shit and you cheated on your wife, you still have a right to your child if you want to be a supportive father. You're obviously a shit husband.
Yeah.
But I feel like there can be a difference between being a piece of shit husband and a piece of shit father.
The whole time you're talking, I'm like, the rage within is like growing and growing, because like, fuck that guy. First of all, it's to be there in the delivery room, to be there at the hospital for the birth. That's a fucking privilege, not a right. That's not a law. You know what I mean? Like yes, like he is legally bound to this child, not in that circumstance. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have to legally be there at the hospital. And I just feel like, you know, I obviously haven't given birth yet, but so many women, like, that's such a harrowing experience. I think that I would feel so enraged to even have that person be like anywhere fucking near me during something so serious, what can be so serious and so stressful and so fatiguing and all these kinds of things. Like, I just feel like, no, I wouldn't be the bigger person in that scenario. I wouldn't be the one to be like, oh yeah, but it's your child, and you know, like, I want to take the photos. No, fuck you, dude. Like, yeah, you can fucking be legally bound to this child. You can fucking pay me child support. You can see them on the weekends. But like, absolutely the fuck not would I involve him. Because to me, like, at that point, it's like, okay, so you forfeited the right to this family, like, as a joint unit. You know what I mean? And so we, like, you know, they would have to obviously exist as a family. Matt already knows, though. I've told him a million times. I'm like, if you ever fucking cheated on me, like, I would skin you alive. And he's like, oh, no. But like, and I'm not joking. Like, you can use this as my fucking tape. If something happens, I'm telling you it was me. Like, I would never, because to me, it's like, that's so selfish. And like, you do forfeit the right to like boo fucking who is basically my response to this guy. Like, you like try it. Let a bitch try to guilt trip me in that situation. Oh my God. Like, that would be just the worst decision for that person to make.
You'd be like having a contraction, like ripping out his like organs.
I wish a motherfucking hoe would. That's what I have to say to that.
Okay. I agree that like 100% I would not be doing it to appease him. Yeah. It would not be about like what makes him feel happy or like whatever, because he didn't think about me, you know, when he was off
the fuck didn't
with Betty Sue or whoever the fuck. But yeah, so my stance is that it would be for the benefit of the child in the future. I want to make that clear.
Yeah. I just think that like that's something where it's like I do understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I think that, yeah, like I do think it's important to, like, I don't agree with people who talk poorly about their ex to their child and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't think that's fair. Like, I understand why it happens, but I think obviously like the child is innocent in that scenario, but they're a newborn. Mm-hmm. You know, like I don't think for most people the experience of being like, oh, cool, my dad's holding me in that picture at the hospital would be enough to warrant like the mental turmoil that I would be going through to have him there.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there's, you know, merit in, not merit, but it's worth mentioning, like, if I was unable to find somebody to have a child with that, like, I felt like, yes, we can be together, like, I'm happy to have a child with you or something, I would do it alone. You know, if I was financially able to. And I don't think that my child would have any less of a life because they, you know,
For sure.
I did it by myself sort of thing. Obviously, I would need a donor, that sort of thing. Like, 'cause I can't just conceive on my own.
You can try.
But, yeah. But, yeah, if that father was going to be in the picture anyway, like, past that, that's what I think I would say. But, no, I totally agree with you, too. Like, there's a side of me that 100% agrees with you. But then there's, like, that piece of me that's like, oh, but, like, the sentence, you know what I mean? Oh.
Yeah, like, I feel like you're the type of person that, like, you, if you made the decision to be like, no, fuck you, I'm not going to have you there, like, you would have regrets later. Mm-hmm. I would feel resolute until the day I die in that decision. Like, I would wake up every morning and pat myself on the back and be like, yeah, you fucking did that shit. And that was the right fucking choice.
I think a lot of people would probably agree with you.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Okay, so, oh wow, a lot of them are having to do with pregnancy. The second one was, am I the asshole for making my friend cry with my pregnancy? So her and her boyfriend found out that they're expecting their first baby. They couldn't wait to tell everyone, but are waiting until the 12-week mark to tell their friends and family. Hit 12 weeks with no problems. They told their parents, and then decided to tell 3 of their friends. All 3 of them look happy for them. And then while 2 of their friends were asking them questions, one of the other ones shut off their camera. They were over Zoom. They kept chatting and just assumed that she went to the toilet or something. When she came back, she was sniffing and looked like she had been crying. And suddenly they were all asking this person if she was all right, even though she was insisting she was fine. To be honest, I was getting annoyed with her because of it. She had been struggling with fertility issues since she was 19, now 30. And it was like she was making my news all about her. It felt like she was stealing my thunder. So I said to her, look, I get you've had fertility issues, Beth. And I don't know why the name Beth made me laugh. Look, Beth, okay. Look, I get you've had fertility issues, Beth, but you don't have to make everything about you. She then logged off. My friend said I was being the asshole because I should be more sensitive to her needs. Frankly, I think she should be more sensitive to mine, as I'm the one who's pregnant and who's going through a life-changing experience, not her. It's been a few days and Beth still hasn't... Oh, okay. This sentence alone, like... If I was on the poster's side, this sentence alone made me change my mind. It's been a few days and Beth still hasn't called to apologize.
Oh.
But my friends think I should. What's your take on this?
No, I think she's the asshole. Here's the thing. I mean, I don't know because I've never tried to get pregnant. But I can try and imagine how hurtful it would be to be trying to get pregnant for so long and not being able to. And being that it would seem they're very, very close friends.
Yeah.
I would know that. And honestly, if it was me, I would probably tell that person separately. Mm-hmm. And just be like also there for them. Because, I mean, at this point in my life, not to make it all about me, but it is our podcast. But at this point in my life, you know, you're absolutely like my best friend and you're pregnant. I have another best friend who's also pregnant. And there was a time even where you asked me, like, how are you feeling about that? Because I do want to have kids. And it can make me feel like I'm a little bit behind. Like I've dealt with those feelings and whatever. I'm so excited for you and I'm so excited for my other best friend. Absolutely. But there are still those like little feelings, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that I made like, you know what I mean, that I'm making it all about me or at all or anything like that. But I think that it was just nice for you to even think like, how are you feeling? You know what I mean? Because like 2 of my best friends are pregnant and I'm like, at the time I was single. So I was kind of like, you know, so me just equating that, which is completely different. I know it's nowhere near like struggling with fertility issues. But you would think then in a loving friendship that she might have kind of done the same, been like, you know, I'm pregnant I just wanted to let you know I'm really, really excited, but I know that this might be like, something that's like hard for you.
Yeah.
And I think that probably, I can't speak for Beth, but I just feel like it would have gone differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you have time to be like, like it is really hard for me and whatever, but I'm really, really excited for you.
Yeah.
And then it also gives Beth the time to be like, be able to like be maybe a little bit emotional, but also like not in front of everyone and everyone being so excited and whatever. Because yeah, I can understand why the poster felt like she was making it all about her. But I don't think that necessarily people cry for attention quite that often. You know what I mean? She turned off her camera.
Well, and that's the thing is like, given the circumstances, it's kind of like what could she have done differently other than just like not cry, which obviously she was like emotionally moved to do so.
Yeah.
So like, I think Beth like did the best job Beth could do.
Yeah, for sure. What do you feel?
I agree. Like I think it's hard because like I am coming from the point of view where like I've been posting about this pregnancy online, and I have had quite a few people that have struggled with infertility reach out to me to say that they were like disappointed that I chose to share because it was, frustrating for them. They don't like having to see all these pregnancy announcements, because there are a lot of people, especially within the beauty community this year and like within the last few months, that have been announcing pregnancies and having kids and stuff like that. So, I struggle with that because I think that it's not necessarily fair to tell someone that they can't, experience this joy or share this news, because also pregnancy can be a really isolating experience. Especially if you're going through it at a different time. Like, if you and I were pregnant together, that would be like really different. I probably wouldn't even have felt the need to like post online as much. No, that's not on you. But like, you know what I mean? But like, it would be a lot less isolating because we would like have each other to like bounce off of. But I don't know. Like, I think that everyone has a right to share things, but I do think like if this person was a good friend, yeah, I would have done I would have said exactly what you said. Like, I would have talked to her privately about it, and I would have been anticipating her to be upset. And I just think like I've known several people that have struggled with infertility, and I just know so much about. I don't know about the experience, but I know so much about like what people have to say about that, and it is heartbreaking. And like. There's some people that feel like, well, am I not a real woman then? Because I can't do this thing, and because I can't, bring a child into this world, and I can't do this with my husband, and I can't give my husband children. And, like there's like all these kind of weird feelings that go along with that, and just feeling frustrated with like, the inability to get your body to just do what you want it to do. Like you're completely helpless in that situation. So I think that, that to me is not something trivial to be upset about. And so to think that somebody could put that aside even for a second, I think is unfair without having experienced it yourself, especially. I mean, of course it would be great if Beth was able to be like, oh, I'm so happy for you at some point.
For sure.
But if that never happened, I don't think that's unreasonable either, because they have that closeness in friendship. Random people saying this to me online, I feel like, okay, like, of course, I didn't know that obviously, like, A, B, and C is dealing with infertility issues. Of course, there are people out there. I want to still be able to share my news and stuff like that. But if this was like a close friend of mine, I would be trying to be as conscious as I possibly could to not be bringing it up to you all the time and not be, ambushing you with it over Zoom with like 2 other people.
Yeah.
I just think I agree with what you said, basically.
Yeah, I think it's the ambush part for me that really gets me, because, and like you said, maybe she might never feel excited or whatever, but oh gosh, I just feel like as you work through information and as you work through news, sometimes it gets less painful.
Yeah. And
so I do think, that eventually she would have been happy for her friend and stuff like that. But maybe she just needed to take some time and like sit with that news and feel the emotions and, maybe go to therapy about it, like have a session, like if she was already in therapy or something. Yeah. I'm just trying to think what I would do. Like I would go back and see my therapist and be like, hey, my best friends are pregnant and I'm just kind of feeling A, B, and C about it. And we could work through it together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ambushing, and then the fact that she's getting upset with her friend for feeling real emotions. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that's not a good, you're not being a good friend.
Yeah.
You know, and like, for sure, you're very, very excited. And I think that you are allowed to be excited to be pregnant. It's, you know, it's super, super exciting. You're going to bring life into this world for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think that negates the fact that you should be an empathetic friend.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like, I think that, like, pregnancy is a great excuse for a lot of things. But, like, just feeling like that makes you above all else, I don't think is realistic or fair. So yeah, I don't think I'd want to be friends with this person.
Yeah.
And I do think she's the asshole.
Yeah, okay.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughter and ex-son-in-law
Yeah.
an ex-son-in-law that I don't want custody of their daughter either? Ooh.
What?
Okay. My daughter and my ex-son-in-law had a 4-year-long divorce and for a marriage that barely lasted a year. In that time, their daughter, 14, has acted out. My daughter found her lying on the couch, blackout drunk for the first time when she was 11. My ex-son-in-law recently had a week with her in which she refused food for 4 days in a row. I haven't had a much better time with my granddaughter either. Once I drove to her birthday party and she ended up pulling a 24-hour disappearing act until finally a friend admitted she was with him. And the worst part is that many of the daughter's problems weren't reported by either side because both my daughter and my ex-son-in-law feared that the other parent would lose all custody and they'd have to deal with her full time. Now my daughter and son-in-law are at their breaking point. They're both arguing they don't want custody and that the daughter is the other's responsibility. They have both gone as far as to threaten to get themselves arrested so that they'd lose custody. Jesus Christ. My daughter even said that she was contemplating purposefully driving drunk and getting pulled over so that with her daughter in the front seat so that she'd lose custody.
Holy moly.
They finally turned to me and begged that I take her in. My ex-son-in-law stood outside my house yesterday in the pouring rain. How like cinematic.
Yeah.
For a full hour begging me to take my granddaughter until he finally went home. I finally emailed both of them and said that I was 1 year away from turning 60 and had already planned my life in a way that doesn't involve a child. I ended it saying that if they both wanted their child to be living anywhere besides their home, then it would be in a foster care facility. Am I the asshole? My daughter and her ex were teen parents, but honestly, this is such a mess and their daughter is such a mess that I don't feel it's fair to make me deal with the destruction they caused.
Okay, so the daughter is 14. Or sorry, the granddaughter of this woman
is 14. Yeah.
This could be a man. Did they say... Anyway, doesn't matter. The granddaughter of this person is 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you go first this time. I'm
just reading the top comment really quickly.
Don't ruin it.
Okay.
You're gonna be biased.
Okay. So this was under the award for Everybody Sucks Here. I don't know that I agree that everybody sucks here.
Okay.
I don't think the grandparent does suck at all. I think that that's completely fucking reasonable to say I'm goddamn 60 and no, I don't want your fucking like petulant whining child. Like, you know what, like, because like ultimately, you know, I get that they were teenagers, but they're obviously adults now, and the kid's 14 years old. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, if you guys haven't figured something out,
yeah,
and you don't want to figure something out and you're going to like these extreme lengths, I just feel like you're shitty parents. And I don't think that, you know, like I don't think that it needs to be the grandparents' responsibility to take care of this child. So I really don't feel like the grandparent sucks basically at all. Like, yeah, sure, in a perfect world, it would be nice if they were like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, just to like give this child a better life. But I think that there's also something to be said for people that have the decency to say, no, I wouldn't be the best place for that child.
Right.
It reminds me of like, huskies are like the worst dog you could possibly get for so many people. There are people who are great husky owners, but they're really, really difficult dogs to have for a number of reasons. So I think that there's like something to be said for people that are like, no, I couldn't, you know, take care of a husky, or I couldn't take care of this dog or that dog or whatever. I think that there's just something to be said for that. It's a weird comparison. But rather than just being like, oh, okay, sure, to like be the better person. Is that you being the better person though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can't provide the life, which this child clearly has some things going on that need to be sorted out. Like, I would say that of everything, I feel the worst for the child.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of, when you were reading that, kind of what I was thinking is, okay, first off, they had a 4-year-long divorce. Mm-hmm. That would have been extremely traumatic for the child.
Yeah.
You know, I could assume, you know, if I can be so bold as to assume, I would think that a 4-year divorce would have been, you know, traumatic for them. As well, if they were teen parents, I'm sure that they did, you know, struggle a little bit. And if they only had a year-long marriage, possibly there was turmoil in the home, right? Yeah. And so I think that all of these things, all of these little details that the grandparent is giving, it can kind of lay the foundation for why this 14-year-old is acting out, or why they seem to be behaving in such a way. You know, nature versus nurture, both are very important. And I think that this child probably didn't grow up in the most like stable, comfortable, you know, setting. And so it would make sense to me that they're running away and possibly like drinking and like doing all of these things, right? Like, was it the 14-year-old that was blackout on the drunk, or was it the parent?
That was black. Yeah, it was the 14.
Okay, so
but when they were 11.
Right. So, well, that raises like really big red flags for me. You know, they're trying to, I mean, I'm not a therapist, you know what I'm saying? But like they're trying to like self-soothe and like self-medicate the feelings that they've been feeling. So I think instead of trying to pass this child off, getting the child the help that they need, right? Like if they're able to, I don't know, financially wise, but it kind of just seems like, oh, we didn't do an adequate job. We don't want this anymore. Take her, basically. And I don't think that the grandparent is the asshole for saying that, that they didn't see a child in their future because they didn't have another one, right?
Yeah.
Again, like you said, in a perfect world, it would be great if the grandparent could take the child in and, you know, give her the help that she deserves to have. But it's not always, it's not guaranteed that help is going to help at this point.
Well, and it might not even be feasible for the grandparent either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it might not even be something that they're able to facilitate. And so in that, like, I agree, just like passing this child around to whomever, I would sooner try and place it, you know, in another home, which, you know, I think like the foster system obviously has like its own issues with it. And to me, like, this is just like one of those like heartbreaking stories where I feel like the likelihood of this kid having a good life is slim.
Yeah.
You know, while they're a child, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. They just didn't hold all the cards in the beginning.
No.
You know, and I don't know. Yeah. I really like, that's such a big thing for me. Like, I really believe in having like a stable, loving environment for kids, like whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
Just an environment where the kid feels safe, big deal.
Yeah.
And feels loved. And I'm not trying to say that they weren't, but you know,
I think it's pretty clear that,
you know,
know.
Well, there are some things that, you know, are just born with and really has, you know, you could have like a very nurturing relationship and just born that way sort of thing.
Yeah.
But just based on the other details that I've been given, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like if your parent, you know, aside from like the 4-year-long divorce, the 1-year marriage, like the being teen parents, all that kind of stuff, aside from that, if you're the type of person that like would sooner try and get caught driving drunk and also put your child at risk like that to lose custody, I can make some assumptions about like the type of parent you probably were.
Yeah, I think that I like chose to forget that because it was so horrific when I heard it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that the grandparent sucks, but it's the situation does suck and whatever. But so the top comment is, everybody sucks here. You're correct that it's not your job to raise your granddaughter. However, did you read what you wrote? You have her parents arguing over who gets stuck with the girl, and your biggest concern is that you aren't the one who gets her. Do none of you give a damn about this kid? Foster care sounds like an improvement over the assholes she has as a blood family. Yeah, I don't fucking agree.
Oh, that kind of swayed me a little.
No, I don't agree because it's like,
yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't say that that's their biggest concern, but I don't think that that's, like, I feel like that's, I don't know, like, it's kind of like the wrong question to raise, like to be like, really? So like they're gonna like, neither of them want this kid and you're not gonna take it? It's like, no, what are you talking about? Like, why should I have, it's not their responsibility. We don't know if it's a grandma or grandpa. It's not their responsibility. You know what I mean? And again, yes, it would be nice, but like, I think that that's something that is so much easier said than done. And to look in from afar and be like, oh my God, yeah, of course I would take my grandkid in. And like, I know that that's how my parents would feel. Like, no matter what, doesn't matter. They would take in like their grandkid if they had to. But I think that that's so much easier said than done when like you haven't been there for the entire time. Obviously, you're hearing some of what happened, but this has been going on for years where, you know, the grandparent is clearly in the know of what's happening to some extent, at least. I still, no, that didn't sway me at all.
It got me when it was like, this is like your grandchild. It's like, this is your family. And I'm like, oh, my heart.
I mean, I think that like, I think that, yeah, it sucks for the child. Like, I do think that that's the person who is like the most,
affected,
obviously, of course. Like, and I just don't know that I feel like it's even, I don't know that I feel like the grandparent is even relevant to the situation at all, basically.
Right. It's just like the parents are assholes.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they could have gone to anyone and been like, will you take our child? And that could have been anyone posting that. And they'd be like, really? Like, the thing that you're concerned about is you not ending it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I still don't think that the grandparent is the asshole, but I can't imagine if I had a grandchild. Like, I can't imagine saying no.
You would feel differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know.
What? Am I the asshole for not participating in my friend's scheme to convince a restaurant to buy his ketchup? My friend Zoltar, fake name, what a fake name also.
No kidding.
Has been obsessed with ketchup ever since I met him. He's always trying out different recipes to make his own ketchup and getting me and all our friends to try them. Recently, he made his best ketchup yet. In quotes. I tried it. It wasn't bad. It was ketchup. Now he has decided he is finally going to break into the ketchup game. He is convinced this is so specific that like it doesn't matter if you made a throwaway or not, because someone would be like, did you fucking go on Reddit and talk about my ketchup, bro? That was my best ketchup yet. He's convinced he's going to launch his own ketchup company and grow it to be one of the top providers of ketchup in the U.S. He literally has a photo of Heinz ketchup on a dartboard. He throws darts at it and mutters things like, I'm coming for you. There's no fucking way this is real.
Coming for you.
Oh my God. Anyway, he has a scheme he wants me and others to participate in. Essentially, it involves us all going to a restaurant, sitting at different tables, and enacting lines from a scene he wrote that will culminate in all of us trying and loving his ketchup and convincing the manager to buy it. He wants us all to memorize lines. The gist of it is one guy is supposed to call over a waitress and say he likes the french fries but hates the ketchup. I'm supposed to lean over from another table and say, sorry to butt in, haha, but I have to agree. I'm tired of this old-fashioned factory-produced ketchup. Where's the real tomato flavor? After a few others people do this, my friend is going to say, you guys won't believe this, but I'm a ketchup chef and I have a few samples. Would you want to give it a shot? At this point, everyone is supposed to try the ketchup and act astounded by it, and basically all claim it is the best ketchup they've ever had. I'm supposed to stand on my table and make a trumpet sound effect and then yell to the entire restaurant, we have the best ketchup ever made over here. Everyone come on over. This is obviously fake. One of the other people is supposed to get the manager of the place over, and we were all supposed to try and convince him or her to buy an order of my friend's ketchup. He's going to act surprised and embarrassed and tell us to stop putting the poor guy on the spot. In regards to the manager, he then assumes he will make a huge sale. Then he wants to do the same operation at other places in town. I told him, no way am I doing this. I hate public speaking and acting and having attention focused on me. Also, the idea is just so fucking dumb. I told him that straight up. He acted offended and said I'm ruining his dreams. I'm astounded by this, but some of my friends agree and think he is showing hustle and that we should all help him launch his ketchup business. Aside from his ketchup obsession, Zoltar is one of my best friends, but it seems our friendship is being ruined.
You would think that like obviously this is fake, and sure it's Reddit, like people do like post for karma or whatever it's called. I don't really know how that works, but I don't know. I've met some people, Sam. Like I've met people who would genuinely like write a script.
Sure, the trumpet sound. Maybe, get on top of your table and make a trumpet sound and say we have the best ketchup over here, folks.
Sam, he's a ketchup connoisseur. Do you think that he's like
he's
not
into the theatrics?
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. I'm not saying this is 100% a real post, but I'm definitely not like
discrediting it.
Yeah.
All
like
right.
I've just met I went to like theater classes, you know what I mean? Like people are creative.
Yeah.
What say you?
I mean, this is obviously so fucking ridiculous. I would say, oh God, I would say, I'm not even compelled to say no assholes here. I would say that the friend is the asshole. The ketchup chef is the asshole. Because I think that, like, again, I guess that I just feel like, like, with so many of these things, it just comes down to, like, personal responsibility, basically. And so with this, it's like, yeah, it would be great, obviously, if, like, your friends would be willing to do this entire, like, fucking song and dance for you.
Literally.
In all these restaurants across town. But, like, also, if you're genuinely, like, it's hard to even take this seriously and give, like, a serious response. But, like, if you're genuinely, you know, proud of and secure in the product you've produced, then you should be able to go directly to restaurants and be like, hey man, I have this fucking ketchup, it's unreal, let's give it a go, fry up some fries.
Yeah,
you know. So
I don't think the friend is the asshole. Sorry, the ketchup connoisseur, I don't think he's an asshole for asking. I think that it's asshole-ish behavior to like get mad when your friends won't work for you for free, basically. Like, I'm assuming that they're not reaping any benefits from this.
Well, and also do something wildly uncomfortable for them.
For sure. Like, sure, ask the question.
Yeah.
But then don't be mad when people say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if it wasn't for him being, like, upset about it, I would say no assholes here. But, yeah, you can't get mad at your friend for not wanting to do something, like, super outrageous like that. I think if I was the friend in that scenario, I would say, like, wow, really creative. A sales
Love your
pitch.
enthusiasm. However,
why not? Let's band together. Why not? Let's make you like a Dragon's Den pitch, or like where if they're in the States, like Shark Tank, I think it is, or whatever the thing is, or like let's make some YouTube videos, or like I would probably give like different, because this person's obviously like quite inventive, you know, like with their,
and they're excited about the premise of ketchup.
Definitely, yeah, and so I think that I would probably give some other options that I don't have to be directly involved in, but then I'm still being supportive of the ketchup dreams.
Yeah.
You know, I would offer to maybe purchase a bottle of the best ketchup in the world. But also, like, not an ad, but like Heinz is pretty fucking hard to beat, man. Like, I don't really care for connoisseur ketchup.
I think it just, the thing is, like, ketchup really doesn't do it for me anyways. Mm-hmm. So I think that if I really liked ketchup, I probably would be the type of person who liked, you know, a small batch, you know, artisanal ketchup. But no, I don't care.
Yeah. Actually, there is this place in Fort Langley that has really, really good homemade ketchup.
It's probably fucking that guy.
Honestly, if it is, then he would have been a millionaire by now.
Yeah.
You know? And he should have helped out his friend, because maybe his friend would, like, bring him on.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I would say that I would agree. I would probably sooner be like, oh no, that's obviously ridiculous and and that's not happening. But this is what I think you should do. Yeah.
Yeah, I would still be a supportive friend, but I would say no to standing on a table. Because also, like, if you stood on a table in one of my restaurants that I worked at, you would be kicked out and possibly banned. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can't stand on a table and disrupt every other patron of a restaurant.
Well, and I think that there's also something to be said for the fact that, like, at many restaurants, like, it's not like you're the first person to, like, think that you have some revolutionary product that you need to bring, you know? Like, that's not uncommon. Like, there's always the people that are like, hey, man, what if you made a drink, but you put oranges in it, and then you named it after me? Like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know.
Well, and at the end of the day, it comes down to what are my cost of sales?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, Heinz has probably got you beat.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, am I the asshole for calling out my boyfriend's duck obsession?
Yeah.
Don't even need the context. Yes, absolutely.
Ducks are great.
My boyfriend and I decided to move in together for quarantine. Everything has gone well. We both work from home and have barely left the apartment. We split the chores, have a cooking schedule that we mostly follow, and even coordinated alone time with each other.
Well, that sounds like a good relationship. What's wrong?
Just you wait.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I haven't read it. Well, last week during his alone time, my boyfriend captured Oh, they're real ducks. Okay.
Oh.
Well, this changes things. Well, last week during his alone time, my boyfriend captured 5 of the ducklings that live around our apartment. He claims their mother was nowhere nearby. I have a hard time believing this, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. When he showed me the ducks, I expressed my concern. I told him that ducklings grow fast and will overrun our apartment, plus carry germs. He said that he gave them baths when he brought them in. When I asked to contain them to one area, he refused, saying that they deserve just as much space as us. He said he is welcoming them into our family and will treat them as equals. Apparently, this includes turning our heater to 85 degrees. He has also spread out old newspaper all across our apartment and put down water dishes that constantly get spilled. I've stepped on their food more than a few times and have resorted to wearing shoes 24/7 to avoid grain in between my toes. I know I should have put my foot down when he first brought them in, but he's been so bored with staying in that I thought it would be okay to amuse himself for a while. I figured it wouldn't be long before he released them. I was wrong. He's attached the ducklings and he named them the ducks to honor their connection. And he named the ducks to honor their connection to the earth. They are called Twig, Bumble, Seed, Sprout, and Pebble. If I call one duck, he gets upset and says I'm disrespecting it. When I mix up the names, and he gets frustrated, saying that I should know that Pebble is mostly brown with a few yellow spots throughout, while Seed is much lighter than the rest. But to me, they all look the same. He's kept his word about cleaning up after the ducks, but our utility bills have gone up from the constant heat and how often he washes blankets. Nowhere is safe from poop except the closet, and one of the ducks has been poking its head between the accordion doors. It's only a matter of time before they get in by accident. When I pointed this out, he started talking about how proud he was of Bumble for being so smart. This morning, I woke up to one of the ducks on my chest. Apparently, my boyfriend set up a ramp to the bed after I sleep so that his babies could experience true comfort. I completely exploded. I told him that he is a grown man who has no other hobbies except worshiping poultry that are incapable of caring about him. He told me I was being overdramatic and that he has been on top of caring for the ducks, and I had no room to criticize him for saving innocent ducklings. He's been ignoring me all day, and I overheard him venting to a couple of the ducks about my behavior.
Stop. This isn't real.
Of course it is. I feel bad for exploding on them. The ducks are annoying, but he's calling out. He's right. But he's right that he's been taking care of them. Am I the asshole for calling him out? So this one was the best info comment. And so someone said, like, in quotes, they were like, I overheard him venting to a couple of the ducks about my behavior. More info. Which ducks? Someone responded saying, probably Bumble, he's the smartest. Oh my god. Someone said Twig sounds like a good listener. OP said they heard him venting to a couple of the ducks. It has to be Seed and Sprout. They're the most mature and empathetic of the bunch. Oh my god. Again, I feel like this is fake, but what are your thoughts here?
Okay, let's pretend that it's real.
Okay.
And I don't want to discredit that, like, you know, cabin fever, I don't know, like, we were all stuck inside for a really long time, especially like other parts of the world. Mm-hmm. You know, like, quarantine was really, really long for a lot of people. So I don't know, I'm not negating anything for 2020. Like, I would believe some shit if you told me. Yeah, you know, so let's pretend that this is real. No, of course you're not the asshole, you know what I mean? Like, you have fucking five ducks in your house. Like, this is outrageous. Okay,
they're
I wouldn't
named, but
yeah, sorry. Pebble, Seed, Sprout, Bumble, Twig. Sorry, didn't mean to disrespect the ducks. No, this is outrageous. You know, you can't live like Joey and Chandler with a duck and a goose. You never watched Friends? No. Okay, it's just it's such a travesty.
It happened in Modern Family though too.
Did it?
Yeah, where he got a duck.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay, and not even like stepping on the fact that it's pretty like irresponsible to take wildlife into your home. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like. Sure, maybe the mom wasn't there, but who's to say that these ducks wouldn't have survived on their own in the wild? You know, they're preconditioned, you know, and like circle of life, all that stuff. Anyway, I just think it's outrageously disrespectful to assume that your partner should have to live in like newspaper poop grain infested home when that's the only place that they can be as well. Like, if you're all cooped up, the ducks are all cooped up, chances are your partner's all cooped up as well. Yeah. And I don't want to be snuggling with a duck. You know, well, I do actually want to snuggle with a duck one time. But
I don't think we can jump to that conclusion.
No, but I think it's a lot hard. They're not domestic for a reason. You know, these are wild animals that you've brought into your apartment. Yeah. You know, it's not like you have like it's not like the Playboy Mansion where they had like, you know, basically a freaking zoo, which also not, you know, super responsible, and it's not really that ethical. Well, it's not ethical, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a little different than an apartment. That's not a good life for a duck.
No, I think it'd be one. Well, I don't think it'd be one thing. Obviously, this is outrageous, but like, I mean, if you had a backyard, okay, maybe, you know. I think that, yeah, if we're pretending this is a serious post, I feel like if this was Matt, and Matt does get his moments with things that he goes like heavy into overnight, and then it's like all consuming, I would be like, okay, listen, I don't know about the ducks living with us. I don't know about the ramp up to the bed. That one's poking his head through the accordion door. Matter of time. Okay? The one poop-free area is about to not be poop-free. So let's have a discussion about this. I think I would just be like, I'm glad that like you're excited about this. I understand that like you care for these animals. I think that we should take them to like a wildlife rehabilitation center. You know, and if this is something that you really want to do in the future, like you really, you know, want to raise ducks or something, let's look into this. Let's figure out how to do this properly, you know, get a good setup, because like 5 in the house roaming free, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would say.
And I think that that's like a very mature response, and like,
thank you.
And that's the thing, you know, if your partner really did care for these ducks, like it's the same way that you care for your dogs, yeah, it would be really hurtful, you know, if your partner was coming around and being like dog, and you're like, they have names, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little hurtful. But yeah, I think that that's a great compromise. It's like, okay,
thank you.
Big farm, shared resources.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we all live in a commune. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, that's the thing, is like if you took these from ducklings too, and kind of like tried to domesticate them, they're probably not going to survive in the wild now. So you kind of fucked up their life.
Well, and like you can love an animal as much as you want to. That doesn't mean you know how to care for it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
you know, that's the unfortunate truth.
For sure. Let me see how much time we have left here. Okay, we could probably have time for one more or two more.
Am I the asshole for not letting my friend live in my spare room? So I have this friend, Bill, and we've been friends since we were kids, and we are now both 30. He's one of my closest friends, and we normally have a great relationship. When I was 19, I moved away from our hometown, went to uni, did some traveling, and have now settled in a town several hours away. I have a good job, great friends. I'm pretty settled. 2 years ago, my great uncle died and left me some money, and since then I've been saving as much as possible, and I now have enough for a house deposit, which I'm pretty thrilled about. I've started looking for places, and I'm hoping to buy a 2-bed flat in the town I live in. Bill has not done so great. He still lives with his parents in our hometown, and he has worked in the same supermarket for years. I have no issues with this, but sadly Bill is miserable because he hates his job, hates living with his parents, and is generally unhappy. For several years, I tried to encourage Bill to move out, and I offered him to move in with me rent-free for a couple of months so that he could get himself together. Bill always declined, and I probably stopped mentioning it about 3 to 4 years ago. So the situation. Bill knew I had been left money by my uncle, but a week ago we were chatting on the phone, and I was telling him about viewing a flat soon. Bill straight up asked me if he could live in my spare room whenever I purchased my place. We haven't talked about it in so long, so I basically said I would think about it and let him know. He seemed pretty unhappy by this. I think he was expecting me to not hesitate, but he said said he hoped I made up my mind soon. A few days ago, I called Bill back and said, unfortunately, I don't think it'd be a good idea, and he was angry and also sad, and it was horrible. The conversation was pretty long, but he basically accused me of lying to him when I offered he could live with me and said I was a terribly unsupportive friend, etc., etc. The thing is, I was like 24 to 26 when I offered Bill my sofa, but life is different now. I have a girlfriend, a goddaughter who I want to sleep over lots, and now I'm a bit older. I just don't want to share my living space. Also, I hadn't said anything to Bill about living together in years, and he'd never mentioned it. I feel really bad about the situation, and when I spoke to a mutual friend, she said it would be nice for me to let Bill stay with me for a bit, but otherwise didn't want to get involved in the argument. I feel like such an ass, but am I the asshole?
Okay, so yeah, obviously you're not the asshole. I don't see how you could be. The thing is, if you offer something to someone, it's not like an in perpetuity thing.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that things are
circumstances change.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, I was a lot different when I was 24?
24, yeah. 30.
Yeah, 24 would have been a lot different than 27 for me. Like, no, I don't want to like give up my sofa and have like another, and that's the thing too, like another, like, oh gosh, I don't want to do that, you know. And I think that it's well within your rights to, well, obviously it's your house, but it's well within the rights of your friendship to be like, you know, like things are different, but let's go for coffee and talk about kind of like how we can, you know, get you to be a little bit happier and stuff like that. And for years and years, you know, like you did that with me. Like you would call me and be like, how are things going? Like, and you would empower me to like do something creative and like, you know, keep going and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that you have to offer me a place to live rent free, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or like that you have to take on all of the responsibility for the life that I've created for myself. As a friend, you can like try and help, but it's not your responsibility. And I don't get to be mad, you know, that I don't have the life that you have because I didn't either take the chances or, you know, whatever the case may be, right? Yeah, I think that that's weird that he was like mad about it. And I don't even know that like the inheriting money thing has a whole lot to do with it. Maybe it does, or maybe it's just a coincidence that like Bill reached out afterwards. But it is just interesting how...
Well, it said that Bill knew that he had inherited that money.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to me like why that would change things, like why Bill would suddenly want to take him up on that offer. Like... You didn't want to sleep on a couch, but you'll sleep in like possibly a nicer house. You know what I mean? It's like choosing beggar situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, I have a hard time. It's most persuasive comments. So we'll read the comment in a second. Yeah. I have a hard time trying to come up with any scenario in which I feel like the original poster is an asshole. Mm-hmm. I can, this is what I will say. I think that like Bill is, if I had to guess, probably not the most emotionally mature. Mm-hmm. And so I can understand where he's coming from that like, oh, I thought that, you know, our friendship was in perpetuity. Like I thought that this offer was going to stand and whatever. And that like, if I really needed you, I could reach out to you and you would help. But like, you know, I do think that, like you said, with Ketchup Guy, you can ask, but, you know, yeah, like ask for help, but like don't also then, you know, say that people are like assholes for not helping you if they're not in the circumstance, which I think like be realistic. Like would that guy choose to let him stay on his couch when like you have a girlfriend and a goddaughter and all this kind of stuff? Goddaughter? Yeah. Okay. Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird thinking. I don't know. I don't know that I have godparents, but there's a lot of people who like feel very connected to their godparents.
Oh, I was thinking goddaughter like actually had like a blood relationship, and then I was like, hold on a second here. Wait, whose daughter is this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think that like that's not. I don't think that's reasonable to expect. So I don't think he's the asshole. But let's read the comment.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know if I'm persuaded.
No assholes here, but these are the times I hate this sub because the bar is so low. No, you aren't an asshole, but you have the opportunity to change a close friend's life. None of those are good reasons why you can't. There are reasons why... none of those are good reasons why you can't. They are reasons why you don't want to. You should do better than not being an asshole and be a really good human and let him come live with you. Wow, that's like the least persuasive thing I've ever read in my entire life.
I disagree, because also you can hand somebody the world and they can still choose to throw it away. You know what I mean? Like that person could move, sorry to like hijack that, but that person could move in rent free and then continue to, they can take that extra money and spend it frivolously. It doesn't mean just because you're giving them a free place to live that all of their habits are going to change. I'm not saying that this person has bad habits, but like that's not a guarantee of anything. It's just a guarantee of free rent.
But I also think it's completely unreasonable to say, like, those aren't reasons why you can't. Those are reasons you don't want to. Same, but different. You know what I mean? Like, saying no because I don't want to is perfectly reasonable. Like, that's not like you're a fucking asshole for that. Like, it's not like you can't take him in. No, it's not like I can't take him in, but, like, I don't fucking want to.
Yeah.
So, again, going back to the fucking grandma with the whatever, like, yeah, or grandpa, who knows, the grandparent, could they take that child in? Probably. But like, does that make him an asshole for not? No, I don't think it does. Because like, it's, I just think that kind of, it just sort of reminds me of like this like toxic worldview in which you feel like just because you can, then you should. And I don't think that that's like fair or realistic. I think that that's like a nice way to think about things. But how unfair, like if this guy's gonna be fucking miserable just to change this guy's life potentially, and like you said, who knows if this is even going to change anything for this person whatsoever, or if that person's just a fucking douchebag and he's going to like take advantage of him, you know what I mean, and take advantage of the situation, which I'm led to believe he's kind of a douchebag if he's like is you know, being told why, like, no, that's not going to work out for me right now, and still being like, oh, you're not going to fucking take me in, are you kidding me, like I don't, fuck that guy. That was I was really expecting some shit where I'd be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But, like, you basically being like, come on, man.
That didn't persuade me at all.
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
No, because I do understand that rent can be very, very expensive, and that can really get somebody, like, out of debt or something, just not having to pay rent for a couple of months. Absolutely. What else does that change, though? Because this, you know, this person works at a grocery store, which fine, but if that's not supplementing the money that you need to live otherwise,
but
right?
Was he being charged to live at his parents' house?
He was living at his parents' house? I thought he was living...
Bill was living with his parents.
So he could or could not be paying rent.
Yeah.
Just to me, it's like, okay, if you were in debt and you had to pay rent, yeah, that probably could make a huge difference because of like things like interest and stuff like that. You can just never get out from under it. So understandable for sure. But if it's something where it's like, I want to save money so that I can afford to like get out of my parents' a house or something like that, living rent-free isn't going to increase wages.
Yeah.
And so yes, you could be able to like move out, but as soon as you run out of that that like slush fund or whatever, the money that you saved while you were not paying rent, your wages won't be higher. Like if you didn't account for the fact that you're still making the same amount of money, and you actually can afford it on that salary, it's not going to change anything like long term.
Yeah.
And so that's something that concerns me with that, because it's like, okay, well now I feel like I have, you know, let's put an arbitrary number. Okay, I saved $5,000 by living with this person. I can afford to move out, but then
my tummy's just rumbling. Not in a baby way, but in a hot food way.
I didn't hear it. And so you're like, I have $5,000. That seems like a lot of money, right? I can move out. Well, now we're like 6 months down the road. I don't have any money, and my income can't support my rent anymore.
Yeah.
Am I going to be late on rent? Am I going to get evicted? Now I have like bad credit. So, you know what I mean? Like I'm just painting a scenario to try to like further my point. So yeah, no, I don't think that that's an asshole at all.
Well, and it's like, to what end also? Because it's like, you could say that about fucking anything. Like, that guy asked you to loan him $200, man. You can't, it's not that you can, it's just that you don't want to. It's like, okay, but if I fucking did everything for everyone just because they asked, because I can, like, is that fair to me though? Like, is that realistic? Because I also think, like, you know, again, personal responsibility. There are people that, you know, they just aren't in equal positions, and they didn't have the cards from the beginning. And so I think that, yeah, like, it's not it's not that, like, who knows what the circumstances are that put both of them in like the places in their life. But I think that to feel like the guy that's like obviously more stable and he's worked and whatever, so like he doesn't get to enjoy his life because his friend now wants to, you know, like, I just don't think that's fair.
No, I don't think so either. And to the point of like, you can't just lend somebody $200. I've lent numerous people $100, $200, whatever. It's never turned out well. It's never come back to me. Do you know what I mean? And it just feels shitty.
Well, and I think that that's the thing is, like, to me, it's like, if I'm willing to do something for somebody, it's because I'm expecting absolutely nothing in return. And that's the bottom line. So it's like, if I'm going to give you $200, it's because I'm giving you $200 and I'm expecting not to receive it back at any point. And so, you know, like with it's just kind of like, again, this fairy tale idea that like your commitment to this person as a friend is like important enough to outweigh the fact that like you have your own life, you know? I don't know.
You know what's funny about you saying that thing about the $200 too? That's what my dad always told me, is like, if you're going to lend money, assume you're giving it away. Yeah,
like gambling, man.
Yeah, that's how I feel about gambling too. And that is actually what I did with lending money, but I prefaced it in like saying, this is like, you're gonna pay me back, sort of thing. Like they prefaced it that way, actually, like, I'll pay you back. And I'm like, okay, but I I had been resolved in like, okay, I'm okay with losing this money, basically.
Yeah.
But even the fact that they said they were going to pay me back and didn't, it like just hurt emotionally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's
I
like
do know,
now
yeah.
you're creating like an emotional kind of thing, like, oh, what, I'm not important enough to you, and you know, that sort of thing. And it's just like, maybe those things aren't true, but they sure cross your mind.
Well, and I think for me, it's just like, I know there's been so many times in my life where I've had to borrow money, and it's like I hate asking to borrow money. I always have. It's like the worst experience. And so for me, it's like that burden of that feeling is the worst. Like it just weighs on me. I think about it all the time. And so it's hard not to feel taken advantage of when someone explicitly says they're going to pay you back and don't. Because to me, I'm just like, oh man, like that's such a fucking burden. Like I would never forget. That like the second I could, I would.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. That's
not that was what the post was about.
No,
but took a turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting.
That subreddit just remains the best.
I know. I love that subreddit so much.
Yeah. I like the really, really like hard hitters. Cause like there's some that, like you said, like are just like obviously.
Yeah.
But the ones where you're like, ooh, what would you do? I don't know. I feel like the first one was like a really good example of that.
Yeah. I like the ones that we disagree on.
Yeah.
Not because I like to disagree with you, but it's just so interesting to know like how different people's personalities like show up in different like moral scenarios.
Yeah. And that one, I think this is what's so interesting. You're such a like dichotomy, because there's some situations in which you're so confrontational and you're such a hard ass. And then there's some situations where I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like cold day in hell. And you're like, I don't know, you know, like so that my kid can like see a photo of them being holding the hot. I'm like, fuck that shit. Like it's so, but like, I can't like always wholly anticipate what your response to something is going to be, because it's so like on one end of the fucking scale or the other.
And there's like no rhyme or reason.
There is no rhyme or reason. Like a lot of them is like it's sentiment based kind of thing, but yeah, cold day in hell.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. Anyways,
sentimental will always get me.
Yeah,
that's my fatal flaw. Too sentimental.
Yeah, I mean it happens, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's podcast, and let us know in the comments. Do I want to say that? I don't know if I want to say that.
Let us know what your response is to these things. We don't want to know what you think about our
No, I don't want to get torn apart. These are just my feelings.
I feel resolute in all my responses. Although, if someone can persuade me on that last one, fucking persuade away, because I was hoping to be like really swept up in emotion, and I was not.
No.
So
I was kind of like, meh.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.